I get it. You're staring at the TV aisle or scrolling endless pages online, wondering if that 65-inch OLED from Sony is really worth the price tag or if you'll end up with a gorgeous picture you never actually use. I've talked to a bunch of people who just upgraded their living rooms for the first time in years, and most of them say the biggest fear is buying a screen that looks amazing on the demo floor but feels like a mismatch for their everyday routine. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's break down what living with a Sony 65-inch OLED actually feels like, the moments it shines, and the situations where it might feel a little over-engineered. First off, the OLED panel is where the magic happens. Because each pixel can turn completely off, the blacks are truly black, not just dark gray. In a dimmed bedroom watching a thriller, you'll notice shadows that seem to pull you into the scene instead of washing out. That's not just hype. It's the result of Sony's pure black OLED contrast technology. If you've ever tried to watch a movie with a bright window behind you, you'll remember how hard it is to see details in the dark corners. This TV handles that by keeping those dark areas truly dark, so you don't have to keep pulling the curtains or adjusting the room lighting. Now, what about color? Sony advertises billions of real-world colors, and the difference shows up when you binge a nature documentary or fire up a game with vibrant worlds. The panel reproduces subtle skin tones and the neon glow of a cyberpunk city with equal fidelity. The first time I played a new release on my PlayStation 5, the contrast between the deep shadows and the bright, saturated explosions was jaw-dropping. It's not just about looking pretty. It actually makes it easier to spot enemies in a dark hallway or appreciate the texture of a character's costume without it looking oversaturated. The processing side matters, too. Sony's cognitive processor XR takes the raw signal and adjusts it to match how our eyes perceive contrast and color. In practical terms, you won't notice the TV constantly resharpening or introducing artificial halos around objects. The motion looks smooth enough for fast-paced sports, but the system isn't so aggressive that it makes a drama feel like a video game. If you've ever been annoyed by a TV that looks great on a static image but stutters during a fast-moving football game, this one feels balanced. One of the biggest draws for gamers is the perfect for PlayStation 5 badge. It's not just a marketing tag. The TV supports HDMI 2.1 features like 4K at 120 Hz, VRR, variable refresh rate, and auto low latency mode. When you plug the PS5 in, the TV automatically switches to the low latency mode, giving you that snappy response you need for competitive shooters. I tried a few titles: first-person shooters, racing sims, and open-world adventures, and the input lag was imperceptible. The HDR performance also shines. Dolby Vision HDR pushes peak brightness higher without blowing out bright areas, so you see both the fireball explosions and the details in the surrounding smoke. But the TV isn't just a gaming machine. It's also a hub for streaming, and Sony's smart Google TV interface pulls all your favorite apps: Netflix, Disney+, Hulu, Amazon Prime into one searchable home screen. The voice remote works with Google Assistant, so you can say, "Play the new Stranger Things episode," and it finds it without you digging through menus. The movies included with the BRAVIA TV perk means you actually get a handful of titles pre-installed, which is a nice little bonus if you're a movie buff looking for something to watch on a quiet night. So who should seriously consider this OLED? If you're already thinking about a 4K HDR setup for a dedicated home theater room, or you spend a lot of time gaming on the latest console, the combination of perfect blacks, vibrant colors, and HDMI 2.1 features makes this a compelling choice. It also works well for families that watch a lot of varied content. Kids' cartoons benefit from the bright colors, while adults appreciate the cinematic depth for dramas and documentaries. And because Sony calibrates the picture at the factory, you don't need to spend hours tweaking settings. It's ready to go out of the box. Who might want to skip it? First, if you live in a very bright living space with large windows that you never shade, you might not get the full benefit of the OLED's perfect blacks. OLED panels can reflect ambient light more than some high-end LED models, so a glare-heavy room could dilute that deep black effect. Second, if you're on a tight budget, the price point of a 65-inch OLED is still premium. You could get a very good 4K LED with decent HDR for a fraction of the cost, and for most day-to-day TV watching, you might not notice the difference. Finally, if you're not interested in gaming or high-end streaming and just need a basic screen for news and occasional movies, the